Welcome to the Gilshrat channel. My name's JB, and welcome to part 2 of my second tutorial on how to construct buildings in SCARM. If you haven't looked at the first tutorial, I would highly recommend you take a look at that first. That will explain a lot of the basic things you need to know for constructing buildings. In this tutorial, I'm going to assume that you know how to do them, so I'm not going to explain some of the basics. So please go back and take a look at the first tutorial if you haven't done that yet. So in the second tutorial, I want to show you how to make some more complex structures. Specifically, I'm going to build a water tower, and I'm also going to build a small train depot. And I'm going to position those items along this track right here. Okay. In this tutorial, I am going to be using the circle and the horizontal cylinder objects or features. Okay, so why don't we start with the water tower. So let's zoom in a little bit into this part here, and I'm going to start by building a base for the water tower. So I will use the rectangle, and I'll create a base, make it about 1.5 inches. There we go. We'll leave the vertical position at 0 so it's on the board, and we'll give it a height of about 1 inch. And then to make it simulate wood, let's make it a brown color. So if I go to 3D view, I zoom out, and those are the two buildings I built in the first tutorial. So now you can see I have this structure right there that I will set the tank of my water tower on top of. So let's close that out. So now to build the tank, I'm going to click on the circle, and then I'm going to design or draw a circle that's about as big as the square there. All I did was left mouse click and then drag, and now I will make the vertical position 1 inch so it sits on top of the base, and we'll make this tank 1 inch as well. And for color, I'll make it a dark green. So okay, then pressing down on the control key, I will click on the object, and I will move it and set it so it's about centered on the base of my water tower there. There we go, that's close. Okay, so now if I go to 3D view, I will have the beginnings of what looks like a small water tower. Now, I want to put a roof on here because most water towers have a roof. Unfortunately, SCARM does not give you the ability to create circular roofs. You can only put square roofs on things, but it'll still look okay in this picture. If you want to just leave it like this, so it's a little bit more obvious it's a water tower in the 2D view, you can do that. However, if you want to cap it off with a roof so it looks good in 3D, you can also do that. Now, I'm going to click on the circle, and then if I click on the roof here, an error message is going to pop up that says that you need to select a rectangle, okay, that no rectangle has been selected. So to get around that, so you can put roofs on top of circles or cylinders, you're going to have to draw a small rectangle. And it should be good. And then I don't need to put any height or any vertical position number in there. You just leave that as it is. It won't show up in 3D, but that's okay because we're just using this as a template to create the roof. And then now I will click on the square, and I will put a pointed roof on it. And then if you go to 3D, you won't see the roof either. That's because the roof doesn't have any height. When you put a roof on an object that has no height, the roof itself will have no height. So see here in properties it has no height. So let's give that a height of 1/2 inch. Okay. Now I can just click on that, control, then click, and I'll drag that on top of the water tower, and it's a little too small. Oops. Double check here what happened. Oh, it had no vertical position, that's why it still didn't show up. So let's move that to, let's see, where the base is 1 inch, the tank is 1 inch, so that'd be 2 inches. Okay, go to 3D, and there you go. So now there's a little cap on top of the water tower. You can make it a little bit bigger if you wanted to, by making a larger square and then putting a roof on that larger square, and you can then make it bigger that way. I don't believe you can click and drag roofs. No, you can't resize a roof, so you'd have to resize this shape here and then put a new roof on that and then set it on top of the water tower. Now, let's say you want to make this water tower look a little bit more realistic, so you want to have the water spout sticking out of the side of the tank. So to do that, we'll now use the horizontal cylinder. And the horizontal cylinder, it's going to draw them just like it did the roof. It's always going to be on the horizontal. So if I were to draw it like this, this is just going to give me a real wide cylinder, like that. If you want it to be long and narrow, then you will draw it out like this on the horizontal, and then you have to rotate it. For the cylinder, the horizontal cylinder, it's automatically going to give you a height based on the diameter that you drew. And then you can also see there's these little dots here that tell you where the top of the cylinder is. And then I will put a vertical position here of 1, so it's at the base of the water tower. And I'll make that green as well. Say OK. Okay, this is probably a little bit too long, so let's shorten that a little bit. And now I can rotate it. Oops. Oh, no, I don't want it. What was I thinking? I don't want it at 45. I want it at 90. So if you remember before, I showed you had to rotate it based on the axis that it was on. So to get that back to a 90 degree, I got to rotate it to 45. There we go. Okay, so then now Control, select, and I can move that so it's sticking out there. Because it was the last object I selected, it's on the bottom, or it stands on top. So it's a little annoying in 2D view, but in 3D view, you now have that part sticking out. Oops. There you go. Let's make my center pointer a little bit further over. There we go. So now I can zoom in, and so that's sticking out. It's still a little bit too big, so you could then shrink that down to a smaller size. And then if, let's say you wanted to have the other part that kind of sticks up, you know, like say this is pivoted because those spouts pivot and then they come down so they can go over top of the water tank on a steam engine. Just use the regular circle, and then I'm just going to draw it over here and then move it over, and make that position of, it's going to need to go right on top of this tower, so we got to figure, oops, cancel here. So let's figure out, to make it go right on top of that spigot there, I need to know how high this is. So this is 0.187 inches. I'll write that down so I don't forget. 0.1487. And then I'll go back to this circle. Properties, give it a height of 1.1487. So that way it's above the base of the water tower, and then it's also above the height of the horizontal spigot sticking out. And then for the height, let's make it a 1/2 inch. And then we'll make that also the dark green color. Okay. Okay. And then I'm going to zoom in. And I'm going to drag this over and make it so it sits right there, kind of on the edge, like it's going to pivot. I'm actually going to move. I'm going to fix the roof, and I'm going to move this in a little bit. So let's make that like that. And then I'll move. I might have to delete this piece of track, and I'll put it back. I'll move that. So it's like that. And let's fix the roof real quick. So rectangle. It's kind of hard to judge how much the overhang is going to be. Oops, wrong type. Yeah, make sure you have the rectangle selected. There we go. Yeah, it's definitely big enough. So, properties, make it a 1/2 inch. Make it 2 inches from the board. Okay. Now I will drag it over here. So it sits on top of the water tower. I can delete that. And then I'll put that piece of track back in. That was a 9-inch straight. There we go. So now, go to 3D. I now have the water spigot, and I got that cylinder sticking up there. Looks like it's a little too big, so let's make that a little bit smaller. Really want to zoom in. See if I can click this without clicking the track. Here we go. And shrink that down a little bit. And then let's try that. Go to 3D view. There we go, that looks a little bit better. So that's how you could design a simple water tower. Now let's design and build a small train depot. So this time I'm going to build a depot, and I'm going to build it over on this part of the track. So first I want to build a platform. So let's go to the rectangle, and we'll make the platform about the entire length of the straight track, bring it almost up to the track. We'll give it a height of a 1/4 inch, and I'll make it this light tan to simulate cement. Okay, so now if I go to 3D, I zoom out and then scroll over and go up a little bit and scroll over again. There you go. So you can see I have a platform there, and I want a little bit of the platform to stick up so that I can put a little like waiting room building there. So I'll do the same thing, rectangle, have it like that, height 1/4 inch, and the color tan. And then when you go to 3D, you can see you don't even see the lines there, so it all looks like it's just one piece. And then I will select rectangle again, and now we'll build a building that goes right in the middle there, like that. We'll give it a height of, let's say, 2 inches, and we want to sit on top of the platform, so we give it a vertical position of 1/4 inch. And I'll make it a dark red, like it's a brick building. Say OK. Go to 3D, and now I have the building for the station. And then now I want to build a covered awning to go over the station platform. So to do that, I'm going to go back to the circle, and I'm going to draw a little tiny circle like that. That'll act as like a post that'll hold up the roof. And we'll give that a vertical position of 1/4 inch. And let's give that a height of 1.5 or 1¼ inches. And then to make that match, let's make that, how about, make it green. Okay. Now what I can do is let's zoom in, and I will drag this over so it's sitting on top of the station platform, and then I will Control C, Control V, and then I will Control V several times to make several posts, and then I will click, and then we'll drag these posts so that we have 3 on each side of the station, like that. Alright, so now we got those pillars. And then now to put the awning over the top, I will draw a rectangle. We'll make sure it's long enough that everything will fit. Maybe just slightly shorter because there will be some overhang on the roof. And then I don't need to worry about the height or the vertical position. And I'm actually going to drag this so it's out of the way here. Then while it's selected still, I'm going to select on the roof, and we're going to make that roof. See, we made the pillars 1¼ and it's on a platform that's 1/4, so the awnings need to be 1½ inches up in the vertical position, and let's make them 1/2 inch tall. And then now all I have to do is just click on the roof, Control C, Control V. Now I have 2 roofs there. And I will click and drag, and I'll make that connect in, and then I will click and drag and make that one touch there. I can delete that, and I'll put a roof on the station. I'll go with that one, and then we go to 3D. And now you have a basic station. If you wanted to put a door and some windows on the station, you could do that just like I did in the first tutorial. You need to delete the roof first, put those on, and then you can attach the roof back on top. So there's how you can build some simple buildings using the circle and horizontal cylinder. I hope this was helpful, and look forward to showing you the next tutorial, which will explain how to build roads. So have a good day.